From the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, consider this with Kathy Wyatt, a program of issues and information behind today's news.
I've recently found that I go on my Instagram now and I've unfollowed so many influencers and celebrities, because I just think that you just find yourself comparing to them and no one looks like that.
It's not relatable.
It's not relatable at all, and then you just find you're miserable and life's too short to be miserable, so they all got an unfollow and I only follow people that I know.
You have things like TikTok in your For You page that are dedicated to your supposed interests, but as a woman, I always get stuff and I'm I didn't need to hear about your 500 calorie diet. That was not necessary. And then I think it causes this really damaging circle for young women and men as well.
Everyone has this false idea that other people have amazing lives and some people are out there with no problems, but I don't think, the influencers aren't the issue. I think it's just how you absorb the information.
My brother-in-law, he's 14 and he's already conscious about going to the gym and doing weights, and I think that's really sad.
Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Wyatt. Welcome to the 28th season and this week's edition of Consider This. Our topic, the Marion Smart Ambassador Program. Joining us to talk more about it are Susie Fogarty, Community Development Coordinator and Education Facilitator for Smart Gen Society, and two representatives from Marion High School in Omaha, Jen Kristen, Assistant Principal, and Ashley Bialis. Ashley is a junior. Thank you all so much for being here and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
You bet. Susie, I want to start with you and your reaction to that opening video.
It's the reason why I'm so passionate about this mission, is the fact that especially our girls are so negatively influenced by all of this negativity when it comes to these ideals that they have to live up to that are unrealistic, and not only that, but the amount that they're exposed to because the time that they spend, especially in these really important times in their lives when they're building their identities, they're exposed to all this stuff. It was already hard enough being a teenager at our ages. I can't imagine a teenager living in the day of social media.
What is Smart Gen Society?
Smart Gen Society is a nonprofit that was started about 10 years ago. Our mission is to really empower students to make smart digital choices to protect their data and their privacy, and also to educate parents, educators, and counselors on really what living in a digital age is. Also, how to help balance our students, not only in the classroom when it comes to using these very powerful devices, but also how to raise a child in a digital age is really important to us at Smart Gen Society.
Talk to us a little bit about your programs and services. Give us some for examples.
Sure. So for example, we have curriculum that's catered from kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. Our curriculum changes every single year. Why is that? Because it changes so fast. That's one of the things that really we do well. All summer long, all we do is study, study, study. We then revamp our curriculum, and we really want to use the best practice and the information and developmentally age appropriate that we find, because different ages are dealing with different things. So that's one of the things that we do when we go out and talk to kids. But one of the things that I love most is it's really that the kids inform us of what we need to tell the parents and or inform us of what we really need to study more.
Okay, thank you. Jen, how were you introduced to Smart Gen Society?
Sure. First of all, thank you for having us here. We were introduced to Smart Gen, it feels like longer than 10 years ago, but it really wasn't about 10 years ago, but it was very on trend with the way education changes, technology having a massive influence on that. They were doing presentations to teachers, to parents, and students, just like Susie said, about what technology is, how to stay safe online. And we saw that as really important for our students. Again, as they are developing their identity in these formidable years, it's really important to stay safe. And a lot of times they think posting something or clicking on something is safe. And so having an expert come in We've partnered with them for years to come in, and I would echo what Susie said, is their curriculum does change. We've had fabulous speakers every year with cutting edge information so that our students and everything stays relevant to them.
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
we have a video. We're going to put that up now. And as we're doing that, Jen, tell us about the student population at Marian High School.
Sure. Well, Marian is exceptional. Of course, I'm a little biased. It is Omaha's largest all-girls high school for 9 through 12. Our students are driven, they are passionate, and they feel empowered. One of the joys of working at an all-girls school is every girl is a leader of everything. So we want them to have those experiences of leadership. We want them to see them the best in themselves and to grow to be the best people they can be, spiritually, academically, and socially. So we try to really hard to encompass all of that, not only the academics of learning, but the social, spiritual, and even athletically. So
Okay, thank you. One of those young ladies is sitting right next to you. Ashley Bialis joins us. She's going to be a junior in high school. Ashley, tell those of us, it's been a while since I've been in high school, what is a typical day in the life of a high schooler these days?
I'd say it's pretty cool to be a high schooler, but I like to start and get to school pretty early in the morning, so 7:15 probably I'm at school. And we have these areas, like each grade has a hallway, or you can sit in the quad, and in the quad you can eat and have your breakfast with your friends. And then you'll have 4 classes a day, as we have block scheduling. So you might go to 2 or 3 classes in the morning, then have lunch, and then you'll have 1 or 2 classes at the end of the day. And then I'm a cross country runner, so after that I'll have practice. And I love cross country and I love Marian because there's such a community in there, and I feel like you kind of like miss out on that if you go to like maybe a co-ed school, because all girls, like, you can really relate to one another.
Okay, tell me, how does social media and this whole digital connection play into your day-to-day?
It's really prevalent. You always see girls on their phone, like when they're allowed to have it. For instance, at lunch, there's always girls on their phone when they're not talking to people. You lose out on that personal connection when you're just staring at this screen. And while you might be making connections online, or so you think, you never really know who's on there, because it could be AI, it could be someone fake, and you just never know.
Wow, so you started a pilot program at Marian, of which you are very involved. Tell us about that program, and you can go back to even the discussions, around the table to do something, but tell us what you think is important to know about it.
I'd say it's super important to know about it. It made me more aware of myself, and also it helped me to like tell my friends, like, hey, let's put down the phone once in a while. Let's go out and do something, or let's get off social media for a few days. You know, I like to challenge other people, be like, well, for the next 7 days, let's put down the phone, let's not go on social media, or let's look at our screen time. What are we really spending our time on? Why is it the first thing we look at when we wake up? Why is it the last thing we put down when we go to bed? And it cuts into your sleep. You'll be a much happier person if you just put the phone down. And Miss Susie really helped me realize that, like, I'm much happier the more I put my phone down and the more I just don't look at it.
I think for people watching, especially students, they might say, Ashley, that seems so much easier said than done. What did you find when you were talking with your friends and saying, okay, in a nice way, I'm going to challenge you to put this stuff away? Did you find that people were kind of resistant at the beginning and then maybe eventually?
It definitely took some convincing. I'd say people love their Snapchat streaks, and I didn't know about the history of Snapchat. That was one of the things we talked about in one of our meetings, was Snapchat wasn't really created just to send funny photos to your friends. And I think being able to educate my friends and educate other peers my age to be like, there's so much danger on social media, take a break from it, see how it is. You know, you might not like it at first, but you will be so much happier. You really will.
So let me ask you, was there ever a moment when you were putting those devices aside where you looked at each other and went, oh my gosh, this is what life could be more about? I mean, do you remember a moment like that, or?
Yeah, I definitely do. It's just, you connect with, I connected so much more with the people around me, and I truly carry those connections because, I always hear my parents talk about, oh, we didn't have phones growing up, or we didn't have electronics growing up. We, just went to our friends' house and rode our bikes, and I was like, I don't know if that's really like much fun to me, but once I actually tried it, I was like, I love this so much more than just doom scrolling on my phone.
Wow. Okay, so you also conducted focus groups, right? And so what was the hoped outcome with the focus groups, Ashley? I mean, what were you finding? I'm sure there were questions and answers and discussions and all the rest, but talk a little bit about those groups.
It was to share a lot of information. Like you said, there's constantly more and more like revolutions, especially with artificial intelligence and the dangers of that. We wanted to share like what are the things that we see most dangerous on our phones? What are the things that we think will help people? That's kind of how we started the challenges of like putting your phone away. That was one of the things that was kind of a result from the focus group. And it just helps because I can talk to peers my own age and we can just like connect and be like, well, a freshman and a senior, you know, they have different experiences on social media. Maybe the freshman has had their phone for more years. Maybe they see a different side of it, or maybe they have different kind of social media apps. So it's definitely interesting to see like what other people's opinions are, what they're finding out, what news they're seeing.
Yeah, so when we talk about social media and we talk about, what's that term, negative influencers, right? So as you're sitting and visiting, was there anything that came up that kind of surprised you and you thought, I wasn't expecting that answer, right?
Yeah, definitely a lot of trends that I didn't really see negative as like at first, kind of like the trends with the stuff, kind of like you see an influencer maybe wearing like Lululemon or carrying a Stanley, and then all of a sudden I didn't know that people were buying 40 Stanleys or 40 Lululemon Scubas or maybe 20 different pairs of shoes like the Adidas Sambas. I didn't really know that people were over consuming heavily these products. I never knew that was kind of like a thing, and you kind of lose like almost your identity because you're just wanting to fit in. And I never really thought about that till I was talking to my other people. I was like, you know, it's cool to like be relevant with your friends and like have the same stuff, but they were like, no, wait, you're losing yourself because you're not wearing what you want to wear. You're just wearing what's like in or what's popular at the time.
Wow, so you guys are going to be doing a forum too, Jen, right? For your incoming freshmen and their parents, and that is going to be in October. So you are serving as the liaison. First, let me ask you, what does that involve, right? Serving as, so you're the assistant principal, you know, over here, but you're also the liaison working, you know, with Susie and her team. So talk a little bit about what that whole liaison role involves.
Well, these two are doing the majority of the work, I will tell you. But when Susie approached me, it was last summer actually about offering this as a pilot program, the ambassador. I was very much on board. She saw a need, I saw a need, I saw that we both could help each other, really. And really, the liaison part is I put out a feeler of who was interested with her, you know, writing the dialogue. The students emailed back, said they were interested. I then gave her that group of students, and I reserve a room for her whenever she needs a space and a time, and otherwise she just keeps me in the loop on the communication. And what's really been great is this is only the first year, but the students are just taking off and leading, and they have come to me and said, you know, can we have some programming time? We want to do this. We want to do this survey. We have these ideas. Can we? So it's just really, it's beyond the potential that we have even talked about of what they want to do. So.
I was going to say, it's like when a school like Marian was being founded and we were talking about the importance of wanting our young people to become really great leaders. Who'd have thought this topic,
right,
you know, would have come to the surface, and now the Ashleys of the world are gaining some really great experience in what's really a tough subject matter.
Absolutely.
Right? So when it comes to these forums, and putting those together, you know, you're going to want to get, I would imagine, the right messaging, but I also understand you're going to have a mental health expert there too to answer questions once you put the information out. So Susie, how do we even begin to plan something like that? I mean, you know the audience, parents and freshmen, but it changes. I mean, we're all ever changing, right? So
there's so many people throughout not only the United States, but the world, who are really doing great work on bringing awareness to this issue. one of the things that I kept hearing on the last couple years is we have to listen to the students. What we find is when we give students a voice, they shape policies that are actually more equitable, fair, and equal. That's what we want to do. It's these things that are affecting their lives more than ours. They're going to be the leaders. So I think what they are dealing with should be the issues that they really get to take control of, and that's what I love about this program. I want parents to come and listen to teens at their children's school and listen to what their experience is like, so we can help mold and shape their parenting in the next 4 years while their daughters are at Marian, which I think is incredibly important when their kids are at school for the next 4 years.
So for anybody watching, and we are getting into the school year here, as you're planning something like that and you are reaching out to the kids and finding out what it is that is of interest to them, talking to the parents, what kind of a format are you going to use to really engage them and keep them with you even long after they're out the door?
Well, the best part, being a former teacher, I know what I want them to do. They got to come up with themselves, and that's part of being in this program. They're going to do all the creation. I'm just going to sit back and watch and be a mentor to them while they do that. And so they are beyond more creative than I could have ever been. So if I come up with the idea, I don't want to share it with them because their idea is probably going to be 100 times better. So that's what we're going to start working on in August when we go back to school. We will start working and developing this program, and that'll kind of be a lot of the work that we do early on.
Okay, so Jen, my question to you then, because follow-up is so important and we don't have nearly enough of it in this world, right? So you put on this great forum, people are there, they're in the moment with you, and then you know what, they leave because they have a life outside of, in this case, Marian High School. So have you started thinking as the assistant principal and the liaison, what are we going to do to help ensure that this doesn't just stick that night, but that it's carried with them?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Education is key. We view our partners as, or we view our parents as our partners in education. And we do a weekly parent newsletter. And once a month, for example, our Servants of Mary, our founding order, writes a message in there. I think this turns into a once a month reminder message for our parents, at least that. But I think there are numerous ways to touch on this and echo it not only to our students, but to our parents as well, just to put it back in their forefront so they're remembering, oh yeah, you know, summer's coming. I don't want to let my daughter just hang on her phone all day, every day. So, but yes, definitely touch points throughout the year I think are going to be key.
All right, and Susie, this is a pilot program, so the hope would be that, you know, you launch it and it does really, really well and other schools become interested. So if I'm a viewer, I'm watching and I'm thinking, I like what I'm hearing, I like the students' perspective. Most of all, we've got to get more of that from our kids. If we're starting at ground zero in our school, what are the first few really, really important steps that people should be taking in order to have that foundation be as solid as it can be?
First, for adults, to give the platform to students to shine. And that is a lot of work on our part, but it will pay off so much. One of the other things that I'm hoping too is that we invite other principals, other superintendents around the city. We just signed a contract with Westside Community Schools, and Dr. Lucas, who's like, I already can tell you right now, we're doing the teen forum. And so hopefully they can come watch this one and we can start coming up with the ideas that they are doing in the spring of 2026. So it's just building upon these ideas and then taking this platform and going to other areas outside of just Omaha, all throughout Nebraska and whoever else.
Okay, so as you are putting all of this together, what do you find to be the key components, especially in terms of the students? I mean, Ashley, you have like a bazillion things going on in your life, I would imagine, right? What is that saying? If you want something done, ask a really busy person. And I think that's what we're getting here, right? So as you're heading back into school and this pilot program is being put together, I mean, what are you thinking? What are you doing in addition to all the other stuff that you have going on?
Like to get ready?
Sure.
Just kind of like making sure that I'm not being like a problem with my phone as well. Like making sure that I'm not going to be a hypocrite being like, well, you should put your phone down or you should do this, but make sure that I'm holding myself accountable and make sure that I'm doing it and that I can like execute it like to other people in a way that they're really going to pick it up and be receptive. And also looking more at the dangers of social media, not just like scrolling aimlessly, but really like analyzing it, really, what am I getting out of this? Or what am I not getting out of this? Or what am I missing out by being on my phone? Or if I'm gaining anything, what is it? And is it positive for me and for my community, or is it negative towards me or towards others?
Okay, Jen, she's talking about leading by example. Outstanding. Yes. Let's talk a little bit about just the school in and of itself, right? I mean, things have changed dramatically over the years. You as the administrative team, what are you finding that you're needing to do to properly prepare for the Ashleys of the world who are coming into you, the parents who are entrusting their kids with you? I mean, I would imagine that does change on a very regular basis. And as the administrative team, you have to stay as much ahead of that curve as Ashley does in terms of this pilot program and being a student leader. So talk with us a little bit about what the schools are seeing in terms of this social media and these negative influencers and what you're doing to monitor that and, more importantly, manage it effectively with the kids.
Right. It's, you know, technology is going to be there. So we also want to teach them the right way to use it. Our students use an iPad one-to-one. The nice thing that parents love is that during the school day, everything disappears. Sometimes it's frustrating for the students, I think. Their personal apps or things like if they're watching Netflix during the school day, they can't. So that's been a huge change rather than just here's a free iPad that you're, can run along with. So keeping it as a school tool and teaching them the importance of that. And then like Ashley said, when the girls have their phones out, they are allowed to have their phones during the lunch hour, which we found is better to let them have it rather than have them sneak it. But you walk around the cafeteria and so many of them are like this. And we actually have round tables now in our cafeteria because we did some research and found that a round table where you're looking at people is going to help with dialogue, help with conversation. And so many of our young people struggle with how to have a basic conversation. So we try really hard at, put your phone down every once in a while. In fact, our freshman students are not allowed to have their phone until second semester because they're brand new. We want them to learn how to talk to each other, to have some eye contact. So we think that that's really important. But yes, staying cutting edge, staying relevant. We have developed an AI policy, for example, that our teachers are working on solidifying for the school year so that we can roll that out to the students. But you can't say, don't use AI, don't be exposed to AI. We have to welcome it, embrace it in the education world, and then teach them how to be the best stewards of their own technology. But I'm going to echo what Susie said a little while ago, students listen to students. So while we can get up there and say, oh, don't be on your phone, don't do this, the modeling of the students in the pilot program, the verbal cues from them have way more impact than any adult is going to in the building.
Jen, how hard is the enforcement piece, though? Because you only have one set of eyes, right?
Right.
And there are a lot of people running around. So you set the expectation, but one of the hardest things is to enforce that expectation. So when we talk about consequences, what is it that you're doing? And my other question as you're talking, I'm thinking about it is, what help is available for those students? Because we don't know what's going on outside of school and how much time they're getting on their devices and all the rest. And so there's this break between what you do over here and what you're doing when you come to Marion. So yeah, the consequence and then the additional help available for the students.
Sure, so our teachers are excellent at monitoring, and they do a tremendous job. If the phone is out, they're supposed to get discipline points, things like that. But beyond that, I think what you're really addressing is the misuse and the technology. And as a mother myself, we've had conversations in our house of, when I went to school back in the day, you didn't have to see those friends or interact with those friends until the next school day. And now students are so brave, I'm going to use the word brave, because they can type something or post something without thinking about it. But they probably couldn't say that to your face. So we've had conversations about, you have to, would you actually say that to somebody in person? No, you wouldn't. So our dean of students and our teachers, our principal, our whole administrative team really does an excellent job of, again, trying to educate these young ladies. And then if something comes up, which it does, they know that they can come to a counselor or to any member of the administration and say, this is, and show us, this is what happened, and we address it right away. Because like Ashley stated, our community is very strong, and we don't want anything rocking the boat like that. We don't deal with the cyberbullying. We take swift action if there is anything like that. Okay. So our student services team is well informed on handling all of that.
All right, we have 2 minutes left. Susie, I'm going to go to you quick, and then I'm going to come to Ashley. So in less than a minute, we're talking about this ambassador program today. In a nutshell, what is it?
The ambassador program is empowering students to empower each other to make better choices, to once again acknowledge their gifts, to use more of them, spend more time developing their gifts in the real world instead of spending so much time in a virtual world.
Very well done.
Thanks, friend.
Ashley, I'm going to go over to you. We got about a minute left. Talk to the viewers, especially your fellow students out there. What's really the most important thing for them to know at this point in their life?
You can't believe anything that you see on social media. You can't believe if someone's actually going to say that, kind of like you said. Would you actually say it to someone's face? Most likely not. You really don't know who you talk to online. Make personal connections. Put the phone down once in a while, forget about it, and just, go out and meet new people. Try something new. You never know what you'll like.
All right, talking to Susie, Jen, and Ashley today about the Marion Smart Ambassador Program. Folks wanting more information, we'll go ahead and put up the graphic here. You can go to smartgensociety.org, that phone number 402-980-2709, and there are some other very important numbers there as well. Ladies, I want to thank you so much for being here, sharing your time, expertise, launching this great program. I wish nothing but the best for all of you. Good luck to you, young lady. Very well done today. Thank you very, very much. Thanks to our students who are working so hard behind the scenes, and of course, to all of you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Consider This is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television in the School of Communication. More information and program archives can be found at nebraskapublicmedia.org/considerthis. If you'd like to share your comments about this program, call the UNO School of Communication at 402-554-2600 during regular business hours, or send an email to cwyatt@unomaha.edu.